To Climb the Mountain, an Indie Author's Journey podcast with your host, Riley Morrison. Today's episode is titled, Get an Editor. Now, first things first, I'm going to go into the different types of editing, from most expensive to least expensive. The most expensive type of editing you can get is developmental editing or substantive editing are the main names I've heard it go by. And this is where an editor will read your manuscript and leave comments in the margins, and the comments can be on many different things like character motivations. Is the character motivation strong enough? This pacing is not off. This doesn't fit your authorial voice. This doesn't make sense. 2 chapters back you said they broke their left arm and yet you're saying they broke their right arm here. And a million other different things that they might leave comments on. This is such a useful type of editing to get. I had my book Heir to a Lost Son developmentally edited from start to finish, and I learned so much by doing it. Now, as I said, it can be expensive, but it is totally worth it, and I feel I'm a much better writer since having this done to my book. After they've read your manuscript, the editor will leave detailed notes on your entire book. And this can number thousands of words long, these notes, and what they feel needs to be taken out from the book, or what fit in the book, or what you did right, what you did wrong, what you can fix, and give you ideas on how to fix it. These notes definitely helped me cut a few scenes out of Heir to a Lost Son and make it a tighter book, although obviously it's still a long book, being epic fantasy written in the 1980s, 90s style, but it basically trimmed the fat out of it. Now, the second type of editing is copy editing or line editing, depending on what you want to call it, and this basically will be one of the last types of editing you do. It'll fix the spelling and grammar, and if there's sentences that don't make sense or paragraphs, they'll fix that, the editor will, and they just generally clean up your work. And then if you're really motivated and have the money for it, you can get a proofreader on top of the copy editor, which will go over your manuscript again and fix up the last spelling mistakes or commas or anything else the editor missed out. Now, if you write cleanly like me, I have done a lot of reading on spelling, grammar, that type of stuff, so my manuscripts are generally pretty clean. You might even be able to skip the copy edit, line edit, and go straight to the proofreader, as long as you're confident that your manuscript is clean and makes sense. This helps, obviously, if you have a beta reader or multiple people read over it and highlight anything it doesn't make sense. Though in the case of my editor, I paid a bit extra for the first, say, half of the story, and she highlighted parts that didn't make sense. So I could go back and fix these things, and she still did the proofreading, obviously, and fixed the spelling and grammar and that type of stuff. But having her highlight stuff that didn't make sense really helped me improve my writing, because I could see where there were flaws in my writing and try to improve them when I wrote book 2. Proofreading is generally the cheapest option of all this, and it's really the last thing you do before release, other than obviously formatting your book for ebook or print. In a moment, I'm going to show you my editor's website, what you look for when you're looking for an editor, and go into some details of what she's done for me. My editor's name is Alison Erin Wright. Just make sure you have the E in the middle or Erin in the middle. Now, I've worked with Alison Erin Wright for 1.5 years now, or a bit over that now, and she's helped me improve massively in my writing. I almost feel like we're pen pals almost, because we've talked even outside of writing, just, what's happening in our personal lives a bit, and just general chit-chat. We could literally fill a book on the amount we've written to each other via email. I'm talking probably over 100,000 words now. She's acted as a springboard for my ideas, and just if I have any questions about writing or editing or anything like that, she's there and she'll answer my questions. So it's definitely good building a relationship with an editor, because they can act like a writing coach, and Alison Erin Wright has done for me. Now I'm going to switch to her website and show you what to look for when you're looking for an editor and go into the process behind what we've done on my book. Alright, this is my editor's website, Alison Aaron Wright, or wrightediting.com. Now if I was just a random person looking for an editor, the first thing I would look for is what services the editor has. And in this case, she has a page for her services. Developmental editing, she's got a whole description of what that does, and then the cost down the bottom here. She's got manuscript evaluation, which I take is something like a more in-depth beta read than you'd get from, say, your common beta reader who might read your book, who's normally just a reader and not really an editor. And then for an outline critique, I actually had one of these done of my book too. I basically wrote a beat-by-beat synopsis of the stories, and she read over them and gave me feedback on them. And when I went to do the second draft of the book, it was immensely helpful to have her comments on stuff. It also meant when she did the editing for it, the proper editing, she had a better idea of where the story started, what happened in the middle, and where it ended. So this made it easier for both of us. A blurb critique, I guess, is something like if you're writing a product description for Amazon, she'll review that and edit it as well. And then, okay, here we go. Copy editing is what I talked about earlier. It's basically where they fix all the punctuation, spelling, and flow and all that sort of stuff. They improve clarity and readability, etc. Again, these are the more expensive option. The cheapest option is obviously proofreading, which I get my editor to do as well. And she's very good at it. Now, some editors have specialities of genre. Alison is pretty much an all-rounder, so she'll be able to advise you on all sorts of different genres, and she doesn't really do non-fictional memoirs. Another good thing editors do is that they offer a free sample, so they might edit, or in this case Alison will edit 1,000 words for free, so you can tell if you like her and if she can do your book. This is another good thing good editors do, just so you know how they work and they can see your writing style and know if they can help you or not. Okay, the next thing you'd probably look at after you look at their services and their pricing would be testimonials. These are good because it gives the opinions of other author of the editor, and of course they're probably only going to put good opinions up, but at least you can look up the authors that have recommended them, look them up on Amazon for example, see what their books are like, how many reviews they got, how well they're selling, or just even if you open the book up, just read the look inside and see how well edited it is and how well it flows and all that type of stuff. I mean, it depends what type of editing they got done. They're not going to exactly say at the beginning of the book, I got this developmentally edited. So just if you do find mistakes, I wouldn't necessarily blame the editor because they might have only got a proofread or just copy edit done. Alison has quite a few testimonials. Some of them are pretty successful authors like Harmon Cooper, who writes Lit RPG. I know him, and I've heard of some of the other authors as well, and there's my one there. The next thing I would look for is the About Me section, to see what qualifications they have, and to see if they're willing to put their face to their business. Not that I necessarily have anything against people that don't. I know it can be a nerve-wracking thing to have your face on the internet for everyone to see, especially if you're self-conscious, but to me it just makes it more inviting to have your face there, as well as I feel that you're dealing with a person and not just an entity on the internet, basically. Alright, even if after reading the About Me section you're still happy with the editor, the next thing you would look for is availability. Some editors are booked months in advance, so you need to make sure their schedule fits with your timeline for when you're getting the book done. And if you really want to, you might have 2 or 3 rounds of editing with them. Say a developmental edit first, then later on a copy edit, or even a second, maybe beta read or something in between the developmental edit and the final draft. I had select chapters read a second time after I'd fixed everything, but I still wasn't 100% on them. So you just need to plan ahead if your editor's got a wait time. Normally the ones that have been around for a while do have wait times. It's often newer editors are available straight away. So if you need something done straight away, you just need to look at their availability. Then of course the next step is to contact them through their website so they can get your email and get you started. Stay tuned for part 2 of this video, where I'm going to show you a chapter from the midpoint of my book, Heir to a Lost Son, and I'll show you Alison's feedback on that chapter and what she suggested the change, and I'll give you a brief rundown of the chapter 2 before her suggestions were implemented and after her suggestions were implemented. The chapter changed considerably between the two, and I think it ended up a far, far better chapter in the end. Thanks for listening, and take care.